Hi everyone, it's Jez here from Nigezza Creates. Thank you for joining me again and welcome if you are new. So I'm going to be working on this journal today. So I've done an episode on making the cover and then an episode on decorating it. And I'm using this beautiful blue paper, which is it's called Sunprints and it's from Stamping Up. And I am going to do 3 signatures and I've put 2 together. So I'm just going to put the third one together and then we're going to sew them in, and then I'm going to see how long that takes, and then I might add do some other things. So all the signatures are put together in the same way. I find that helps. It gives you continuity through the journal, and it makes it easier. So I've used the designer series paper as the front page of the signature. Then I've got some very thick tea dyed paper. I say very thick, it's 120 GSM paper there. Then I've got a bit of patterned vellum. Then that is some tobacco paper. Bought that in charity shop. Then I've got a digital vintage document. I've got some 100-year-old music paper. I've got some tea dyed grid paper there. I've got a vintage map page, a paper bag, and then this is red cabbage dyed paper, which is blue, and so I thought that was quite good, and I put that in the middle. I will be decorating this up. I might change the size of those pockets yet, haven't decided. So the others is the same, the only difference is different document. Obviously it's a different map and a different sheet of music paper, but everything else is the same. And I think it's 10 sheets. Let me double count. 1, 2, 3. Oh, it's a different vellum sheet as well. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So so that would be 40 page, because you count back and front. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, another 20 down there, makes 40. So with the 3 signatures, that'll be 120 pages, which is massive for a small journal. But I just fancied doing it that way. So the sizes that I'm doing, now obviously your sizes will depend on the paper bag that you start with, but I did these. I'm going to remind myself because it's a while since I did this. So yeah, I've made them 5 inches tall, and yeah, and I've gone for 10 inches long. I've left these at 12 inches, so they've got a little tiny tuck pocket there. And on this one, I obviously decided to have a pocket that way. So these are the same piece of paper. So the next signature I'm going to do will be with a different front cover. So I'm going to put that in the middle. That was what I thought, because I thought that went quite nicely with that. That one quite nicely with that. So we'll have a different one in the middle signature. So these need cutting down. I didn't cut this one down in height because I folded up. So, but we do need to trim the end. So I'm just going to show you a few. I'll probably show you them all, to be fair. There we go. So they need to be 10 inches wide. So we cut down there, and then I scored at 5 inches. for the, oh, where's my score blade? It came out, kept falling out. So I've taken it out so I don't lose it. So, oh, see, that's what happens. Gone for a burden. It's worn out, so that is that. I'm going to give that a little bone folder there. And then just realised this isn't the blue sheet. I thought I was going from the middle out. Not to worry. Just fold it in half. Imagine this was the blue sheet. That's how I did the blue sheet. But I didn't want to do it on this one because I'm having a fold out on this. So just fold out on one side. So I am going to have to do that bit again. Okay, so I've done that again, but with the correct sheet of paper. And what I did, because that's going to get sewn, you don't want all that bulk there at the spine. So I just cut a little smidge off that fold. I didn't find my scoring tool. I even went down on my hands and knees, which is something I rarely do because I find that quite painful with my condition. But I still didn't find it. There we go. I'll just have to buy a new scoring tool. There we go. Although it did work quite well with that. So that's that. I've got my book there. So my next sheet is my paper bag. So I'm just gonna cut a smidge off the bottom of the bag. So that means that the bag will open. There we go. I didn't quite get it enough there, but that's okay. And I'm simply going to fold that in half. Now, you can fast forward through this section if you are happy with the way signatures go together. Now this one, I didn't have to cut anything off the length because it's slightly shorter, and so I wanted to preserve as much as the mapper possible. So I'm making this a pocket, so I am scoring there at the 5. There we go. And then we will fold it in half. Now I'm folding with the whole sheet rather than the fold up. And again, I like to just snip that centre bit just slightly. Where's my glasses gone? I don't want to snip too much off, just to bring some of that bulk down. So I'm going where the score line is, just going in a little bit there, basically just taking that edge up, an absolute smidge of a smidge worth. There we go. So that we've got the pocket, but it's not right on the spine. There we go. So we got that. Our next one is this, and I did this to have a flip out bit because it's 10 inches. We've got extra, so I'm going to cut it at 5, so we've got the right height. Keep that. I'm using that to line, well, to sort of add to the I'll get my words out in a minute. They're like places to journal on the back of tags and things. Right, so do a little score down there so that can fold, and then let's fold it a little bit better than that, Jess. There we go. And then I'm not going to score it, I'm not going to fold it on the 5. I'm going to come in a little bit because I did end up, as you always do, trimming a tad off. So I'm coming in a little bit so that the fold isn't compromised when I start trimming off. There we go. So that's me flip out bit. So when you fold it, it is a little bit under, but some of that might be trimmed off to keep it as even as possible. My music paper, I like that rough edge, so that is what I want to fold up. It's also does it need trimming off? It also doesn't need trimming off because it's just under 10 inches. Now this, I've got to be really careful with the scoring and go gently because it's very old paper, so it is slightly delicate. So I can just about see where that is. So that makes folding up easy peasy lemon squeezy. I'll go over. I'm not opening this one up because it's really thin paper. So I think it will be all right, that one. And what I did is I just folded this back on itself a little bit to give that edge a little bit more strength because it is old paper. I think this songbook was from 1910, 1920, I can't remember. So quite old. So that was that, and again trim off just a tad in the middle so that we haven't got that bulk there, like so. So the next sheet is our digital documents. I got some digital documents. I got some from the Old Design Shop and some are Artie May's French ephemera, I believe. So I looked for documents in the digital kits that were little like this. They were like little checks or receipts so that they didn't need any cutting down and they were fine. And I liked to look for ones with blue in it because there's a bit of a blue thing going on here, bit of a blue thing. So then we've got a lovely tobacco paper. I just cut this to size. I didn't do any of the trimming. Now what I did was I took a bit off this end and then cut that to 5 that way, and then I sort of preserved this bit because I like that as an edge. And then we want 10 inches, so I took that off this end to get rid of that really big margin there. So I've got lines, they're going the wrong way, I'm not bothered. Love the colour of this. Reminds me of vintage photo. Really like it. Really don't like the way I can't seem to fold in a straight line. So that's that. And then we've got our vellum. Now the vellum is 6 by 6, so we just need to cut it down to 5. Excuse me. I was going to say sneezes come in 3s often. That was 3. What does that mean? Does that mean I'm going to win the lottery tonight? Chance to be a fine thing. There we go. Just fold that in half. That is quite simply done. This is pattern vellum I have hoarded for such a long time. And now I'm going to do what I wanted to do with this sheet that I didn't do. So I'm going to cut it down to 5. Well, exactly, in fact, like what I did with the other sheet. We're going to have a flip out. You could make 2 wee pockets, but we're having a flip out. And this is like page 2, so it pretty much is going to be all right at the 5 inches. So, but I'm still going to fold it at a 1/16 under. There we go. Got ourselves a little flip out. And then we need the blue sheet. So I hadn't decided on which one I'm going to go for. I could choose that. That would have quite a lot of the flowers, actually. I like that. That one. And I quite like that colour on the other side. Not going to use that one. Not going to use that one. So my choices are these 2. I love that. Gonna go for that one. Now, some of them I've done it with it. That one's got a coming up pocket, which isn't actually going to work on that one. Could have a coming up pocket much more, which would work on this one. I might do that. Changed my mind. So I am going to cut this. It's not directional, so I can do it any which way but loose, can't I? Yeah. So 5 inches. Let's have, should we have a 1.5 inch pocket? So we'll cut it at 6.5. There we go. Then we're going to cut at 10. So we're going to score at 5. On an arch bit, maybe a 2 inch pocket would have been better, but hey ho, I've done it now. And then we need it folded in half. This is where I find my cutting was off, look. Let's put my arm down because I've got another straight edge there. So I'll put that up there. So I'm button against the top and the side. So we aren't quite straight there. Let's go back up at 6.5. There we go, that's better. And we need to trim that off. Our pockets going up there. That, I don't like the way that is. That's because I was cutting such a small amount off. So I'm going to come in with this. Just trim that off nicely. There we go. So that is what I need for my signatures. So let's move this out of the way, and let's have a proper goosey gander. There we go, there we go. Do apologise for the pinging. And you can see where ends are showing off the end, which is to be expected. So then we'll do some trimming down. So there we go, that is them all together, and we've got bits there that are coming out over the end, and I am just going to trim them down with my little mini guillotine. So this one we're going to take off, just eyeballing a smidge. That smidge seems still a little bit too much. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to work backwards, which I think is what I did before. So take a smidge off this. I don't need it to be perfect, just need it to be okay. So looking there, we need a little bit off this one. So you can take a knife and trim the whole lot together, but I just decided to do it this way. That worked. That one doesn't need trimming. So now then, let's have a look at this one. You can see a bit of that, not much, so it doesn't need very much trimming. So put it in there. It does need a bit better folding though. It's fine, it's a junk journal. So we'll just take a smidge off that. Fabulous. Yeah, quite a bit off that. It's actually right up to that line on my grid, it seems. That's what we need. So the other way is a little bit quicker, but I'm not in any hurry. Right, that map page is fine because it wasn't as long. So now we are back to that blue one. So we'll cut bit more off that. And jobs are good. There we go. That's that. I'm not actually sure if I've done that process with all these others. Maybe I have. Off to a fashion. Maybe I have. So, yeah. So we've got one. So that one is going in the middle. That is my 3 signatures there to sit in. Okay, and what I chose to do was to sew it in at this point rather than decorate. You can do it whichever way you're happy with. I most often sew in after decoration, but I've done I say a prototype, it's not a prototype at all. I've made another version of this using digitals, and I just found it quite easy. So you can see it does get a little bit chunkier, but it's still not, it's not too gator mouthy, but that's put together in exactly the same way, but instead of using scrapbook paper, I've used dark compendium from Tracy Fox, and I love it. I haven't done a flip through of it yet. I will do. So what I did was I made myself a template. So my template is 5 inches tall, and I made it 1.5 inches wide. So it's not the same, it's not the same height as the spine, but it's good enough. So I did it so that I could make the holes in the spine and then separately make the holes in each signature. So so I cut 1.5 inches by 5. I scored it down the centre, and then I scored it again at each half, or you can just fold like so, and then I folded it in half, so I then got my 3 centre points. Then I folded it in half, and then in half again to get my 3 outside points. So that's what I did there. So these can measure on the inside there to make my holes. So I did them all separately, and then I did the ones in the spine. So let me show you. So I've got a piercing mat here. Move them out of the way. Getting a couple of little clips. So I have done that many single signature journals that it was quite good to do multiple signatures. There we go. So got the same distance top and bottom. There we go. I could have made another template for this. Matter of fact, maybe I'll do that. I've got a bit of scrap that I've cut off, which is more than 1.5 inch, so let me do that. It was supposed to be 1.5 inches wide, and it'd be easier if I explained it, wouldn't it? So how tall is this? So we get it the right height, and then I'll show you how you can match it up. You can make 2 templates. So it is 5 glasses, Jez. 5 3/8. So let me do 5 3/8. It's the notch under 5 1/4. Okay, we are the spine is 1 1/2 inches wide. There we go. So go to the centre to find the centre point, because that's the same on both of them. Fold it in half here. To find the centre point, because again, that's the same on both of them. And then we need to fold up. So we could score it. I did scoring because it was a little bit easier. So it is going to be 5/8. No, it's not. What's the halfway point? This is 3/4. It's 3/8. Oh, it's on the right lines. It's in the right ballpark. So it just helps to get that started, I find. Still managed to not do it quite right. You may have your own tried and tested better way of folding small. I'm sure I scored it, but I think I used the scoreboard and not my trimmer. There we go. Come on, making this look so much harder than it is, by way of trying to make it be easier. There we go. Right, so that's how my template was made. Now, this can go in the centre, so we can see the centre and easily make those marks. But this outside one is going to be in a different place than that would be, I think, if we did it in the same way. So for this one, it was folded in half and then folded in half again. But this is a different size, so folding it in half and folding in half again might make those holes in a different place. So we're going to attach them so that we get them in the right place. So this is how you do it if you were doing 2 templates, one for this and one for the spine. I have chosen not to do that, but you may prefer to do that. So we can attach them together. Use my wee clips. So the centres are the centres. So if we get me ball, and they should match up with the lines we've already made. So they should come out at those points that we made. So now I am double checking that's where it should be. We can now follow those holes so now we have a template that fits the spine, and I'm just going to, for curiosity's sake, see. Oh, it would have worked. That's spooky. Might not have worked. It makes my brain hurt, things like that. So there we go. Put that on here. So now we're going to put our holes in. I'm going to double check that everything is bon. Everything is good. Yep. And then I'm going to just go straight down. And make the holes. And then we've got our holes on our spine ready for the sewing in. Can you see them? Yeah, I think you can. So now we take our template that is for these. We just double checking that everything is in here and in the right place. Where's my little vintage document? It's down there. That's the one I'm mostly concerned about. The one in between there. Warm that up a bit. There we go. And then I clip one side at the top and one side at the bottom. And I slightly fold and I put my awl in the middle hole and I push it through and it comes out right on the crease. And I do the same with that one. And it's the folding it slightly that enables you to get it right on the crease. If you held it flat and went straight down, you'd miss it, which was the mistake I made on my very, very first journal that I ever made. There we go. So we have our 3 holes where we want them, and they match up with the holes on the front of the signature. Okay, so now we can take those out. I'm going to put a couple of these back, and then we can, that'll be ready to sew in. Okay, so I'm going to make the holes in the other two signatures in exactly the same way. Okay, so they're all done. I've got my thread ready. So I'm using some wax thread. I've got 3 different colours, but I felt that this one probably be all right. Thought the brown might be too dark. The one that's almost black would be wrong. But I thought this one would be all right. Go. Anyway, we'll see. So I've got 3 signatures. What I decided to do was to sew in the middle one first. And then the other 2 could fit either side. That was just the way I chose to do it. The one thing to be, I check twice, I check 3 times, just to make sure I'm doing it in the right direction. So that's the top, that's the bottom, so all the pockets are going up that way. Check. So I'm going in the middle one, and I find it easier to pull it through, leave a tail before going into the actual cover. I just find that better. So then we pull that through the cover. Want to make sure we don't pull this end of the thread. Now you can, and I've done it in the past. I've got my little bulldog clip there. I could clip the thread to it, and then you're less likely to lose it. So that's now pulled through. I'm not worried about pulling it tight right now. And then I'm going to go in through the top one, and I'm pulling that all the way out before putting it into my signature again. Okay, so now I'm going in my signature. Find it easier if you fold it slightly, because that's how the hole was made. So you've got more chance, bingo, of doing it. The channel's made, the needle finds it. The hole is slightly thicker than this needle, but then I struggle with the eye with the thread. That makes it quite thick. Okay, so that's that. At this point, try and twist it so it's as straight as possible. So there we go. Now we're going to go, this is the tricky one, go in back through that hole. Now some people go to the top now and come up through the center. Because it's the first video I watched, I go back out that one. You want to make sure you don't split the thread that's already in there. You don't want to be making a new hole. I'm going to take that off now because I don't need it, and you can at this point start tightening up a tad. Okay, I'm going to go back out this hole now as well. And there we are. And now we come in through the top. Back through. It's not back through at all because we haven't been through here once. Going in through that top hole. There we go. I am at this point now going to take that off. So I am checking that my signature is in there straight. I don't want a wibbly wobbly one. I want it to be straight before I do any tightening. Okay, so going to do some tightening up there. So I'm pulling that top one there, and then we can pull that tight with that one, and that's tightening on the outside. Checking again, we've tightened straight, and then we put the needle under that top thread like so. You want the threads on different sides, so I just pull the other one to the other side, so they're on either sides of that knot there. Double check again. Are we tight enough? Do we want to pull a little bit more? And then we do a double knot. So we go left over right, knot, right over left, and knot. And now we can just going to tie a bow. You can add dangles, whatever you want, but for now that's what I'm doing. So that is the middle signature sewn in. Just going to give that a press. I like to go over with my bone folder and just have a look at each of the pages. Make sure they are where I want them. And then you just repeat for the other two. So that's our centre. I will probably fold that down a bit and add some of this lovely blue paper. That's what's in my head right now. And this journal will lie flat like this even when it's done. So that's that. So now we do exactly the same with the other two signatures, one at the front, one at the back. So I'm going to get those sewn in and then you can see them. It really makes all you've got is you've now got that in the way, but you had the cover in the way anyway, so it's not that much, it's not a hindrance. Okay, so I'm going to get them done, and there we have it. All three signatures are now sewn in, and I say it will sit flat, and they're all in there. So next time we'll decorate the pages. I'm going to do some stamping. I've got a stamp set that goes with this paper, and we'll do some stenciling probably, and sort out what we're going to do with these pockets. I've got plenty of the paper left over for decorating. Put an extra pocket on there, I think, and we've got places to put tags, do something on that front. Yeah, so do join me for that. And if you've got this paper or other paper, then I hope you're joining in and having some fun, or just watching and doing your own thing. I know plenty of people do that as well. Okay, so I'll see you again soon with that. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and thank you so much for joining me this time.